God's grace, alhamdulillah, and He has blessed us with this huge blessing and created this forum for us so we can communicate and have connection with God. This is a online way of doing things, and God has provided this forum for us. So this is something that we should be appreciative and without leaving our homes. We are here, and alhamdulillah, we are able to commemorate God, which is the most important thing. This is something that should be cherished by all of us, and we should thank God. This is actually free of charge. There is no charge to this, and so something that He's blessed us with. So again, everything that we have, all of the blessings that we have, and all of the favors that God has bestowed upon us is coming from Him. It's not coming from anything else or anybody else. So we have to keep that in our minds, and we have to direct our appreciation and thanks to the Almighty for this huge blessing. And as I said, this is a godlike quality. Being grateful is a quality that God has in one of His attributes. And on the other hand, ungratefulness and not acknowledging the source is a satanic trait. And so we have to make sure that we are not following the path of Satan. And the path of God is the straight path. And God is telling us in the Quran about that. So we have to endeavor this task, and we should go through this duty that we have towards God and be grateful to Him. Today, what I want to talk to you about, I'm going to go to chapter 64 in the Quran, and this chapter is called mutual blaming, and this is one of the latest surahs that was revealed. Actually, this is 108th surah that was revealed. Total of 114, so 6 more surahs after this was revealed, but this is one of the latest surahs that was revealed. And God is telling us again that glorifying God constantly is everything in the skies and everything on the land. The kingship and the praise belong to Him, and He is the all-powerful over all things. I've been asked this question that it says, bow with those who bow. Okay? These are satanic tricks that God puts in people's mind that, oh, well, you can go and join the idol worshippers, basically, and bow with them. That's what God is saying. No, that's not what God is telling you. God is telling you that everything is constantly glorifying God. So when you are falling prostrate, you are falling prostrate with the rest of the universe, with everything in the universe, except the idol worshippers. Okay? I want everybody to get this. Just because somebody is falling prostrate, that doesn't mean that person is doing it right. That person who's falling prostrate, he may even praise Muhammad. That's null and void. You cannot do that. If you do that, you're just as guilty as that person. You have nothing in common with that person. Okay? I've been asked this question repeatedly by people. But it says, you should bow with those who bow. You should join those people who prostrate. Who cares about people? God is telling you, glorifying God constantly, everything in the stars and everything on the land. The atom, the microbe, the cockroach, the spider, the ant, those are the sincere prostrators to God. Not the guy who's trying to impress his buddy. Okay. And then says unto Him, and it says, kingship and praise belong to Him, and He's all powerful over all things. This is what God is telling us. Okay. He is the one who created you. Then some of you become unfaithful, while some of you become faithful. And God sees everything you do. And so again, I'll go back to this. That God sees everything we do. We cannot hide from God. Okay? We can't do that. If we do that, God can see us. Only disbelievers, only idol worshippers do that. Only idol worshippers who lie, cheat, and all kinds of stuff. They try to impress people. Those are the guys who do that because they don't believe that God can see them. They don't even believe in God. So they created the skies and the land truthfully, and He designed you the most beautiful design. And to Him is the final destiny. It means that we are all going to go back to God. There's no other place to go. There's no detour. We don't have any other place to go. Where are we going to go? There is no other place. God is it. He knows what is in the skies and the land, and He knows what you conceal and what you declare. Again, God repeats this. And God is the knower of the innermost thoughts. Those people who try to pull a fast one on God. Those people who betray a trust. Those people who said something and told somebody else something else. Those people who backbite. Those people who do not recognize what the source is. Those plagiarism is one of those attributes that they have. God knows that. God knows their innermost thoughts. Okay. Says the God knows now. This is. Do you not know that the news of those who disbelieved previously? Haven't you heard of them? Thus they enjoyed temporarily, but their situation deteriorated, and reserved for them is a painful suffering. Okay. So it decayed. The situation just decayed. It can hold together. If people are unfaithful to God, they cannot hold together. Not to each other. They cannot hold together to themselves. They're going to fall apart. Their soul falls apart. Souls become a shrunken soul. It's a diseased soul. This was because their messengers went to them with proofs. But they said, is a human being going to guide us? This guy? We don't have anything less than this guy. We're just as good as this guy is. What's wrong with that? Okay? Always question God's wisdom. Okay? The prophet said Saul is going to be your God says Saul is going to be your king. According to them, they were better than Saul. And they knew better than God. So, thus, they disbelieved and turned away. However, God is in no need, and God is rich, praiseworthy. Yes, somehow they can damage God. That unfaithful thought that they will never be resurrected. Say, yes, indeed, by my Lord, you will surely be resurrected. Then you will be informed of everything you have done. And this is easy for God. Therefore, believe in God and His messenger, and the light that we have revealed. This is the light. This mathematics that I'm discussing in the second rakah, inshallah, this is the light. And God is fully cognizant of everything you do. Again, He tells us about it. He's watching us. gathered you all for the day of summoning. That will be be a day of mutual blaming. Everybody is going, again, you see, this is somebody else's fault. It wasn't my fault. I didn't do this. It was colonialism. Okay? If colonialism was not there, we would be the best people in the world. As for those who have faith in God and work righteousness, this is the only thing that makes them, doesn't matter where they live. As for those who have faith in God and work righteousness. Okay. Then God says he will remit their sins and will admit them into paradises with flowing streams beneath them to dwell therein eternally. This is the greatest triumph. For those who believe, who disbelieve and reject our proofs. Again, forget about this mathematics. We don't understand this stuff. Forget it. Okay? Let's not go there or let's not listen to it. Okay? They will be the dwellers of hell forever. And what a miserable abode. No disaster can occur except by God's leave. And if anyone has faith in God, he will guide his heart. And God has full knowledge of all things. Okay? You shall obey God and obey his messenger. However, if you turn away, then the only duty of our messenger is to clearly deliver. He has no other thing. He doesn't owe you anything. Okay? He's not your guardian. He's not your attorney. If you don't listen, that's just too bad. And then God says who he is. God, there is no God except he, and in God the faithful shall trust. We have to put our trust exclusively in God and no one else. Oh, you faithful, surely some of your wives and your children are your enemies. Therefore, you shall avoid them. However, if you pardon, turn a new page and forgive, then God is all forgiving, all merciful. These are all difficult things that God is asking us. Okay? Pardoning, turning a new page, and forgive. These are very difficult things to do. They're not easy. And then God is telling us who he is. He's all forgiving, all merciful. And indeed, your money and your children are a test. And reserve that God is a great reward. You shall therefore fear God as much as you possibly can. And listen and obey, and spend to the benefit of your own souls. And those who can overcome their own stinginess are the successful ones. It says, parting with your money is not easy, but God says the successful are those who actually do that and spend in the cause of God. And if you give God a loan of righteousness, he will double it for you and will forgive you. And God is appreciative, clement. He is the Lord of all secrets and declarations, the Almighty, the All-Wise. Again, he goes back to the secrets and declarations. Okay. Those people who thought that Muhammad was a liar, and the other guys were telling the truth. Some people are like that. Some people take the other side. Okay? The messenger is the bad guy. He's the liar. The other guys are honest and trustworthy and everything. Okay? So God is telling us he is the knower of all secrets and declarations. If the messenger was a liar, if Muhammad was a liar, he would have been fired the next day. So God says that if he had done this, he would have cut off revelations to him. That would have been it. Do you think that he's going to reveal his secrets to somebody who's a liar and a cheat? What happened? thou shalt not lie, and the messenger lies, how can you support that messenger? How can you reveal something to that messenger? But some people think that way. Okay, so I'm going to stop here and we'll finish this zakat. Allahu Kabir. Subhan Rabbi al-Azim. Allah Kabir. Allah Kabir. Subhan Rabbi al-Azim. Allah Kabir. Allah Kabir. Subhan Rabbi al-Azim. Allah Kabir. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Malik yawm al-Din. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Allah Kabir. Okay, I want to go back to this chapter because and I haven't had this written up, but I'm just going to orally tell you, and then you'll see the significance, the amazing beauty of this mathematical structure. Okay, as I said, when they added those two verses, historically it's known that all the verses that were revealed to the prophet, they were witnessed by at least two eyewitnesses. They were there, and they saw the entire thing. Okay, this was the time that the revelation order was inspired by God to Muhammad, as we see it in a minute. Okay, and he was telling people about this, and then he wrote them down, and he said, "This is how this is supposed to be compiled." Okay, the revelation order is a compilation. Okay, so they were all witnessed except for one. Except for two verses, and those two verses are supposed to be 9128 and 9129, and they were only witnessed by one person. This person called Al-Ansari, Ubayd al-Ansari, and he was one of the late Medinan Muslims. Anyway, so this person, and then they had all kinds of praises for this guy, that this guy was so good, and Muhammad was buying a camel or a horse or something. Okay, so we're supposed to take all of these stuff and just swallow it. Okay, that would be nice. All right, that's what they want us to believe. Okay, so this is how you wrap things up and try to sell it in a nice package. Some people who just keep nodding like a goat, and they will go about their business, okay? And without even thinking. Okay. So God he made them actually have two verses, because those two verses actually, they bring eyewitness that no, we don't belong to this one, Quran. 128 and 129, two witnesses. They tell you that no, we don't belong. The Quran is supposed to have 2,698 frequency of the word Allah in it. Who is his author? Which author? The author of the Quran is God. And God alone and no one else. Okay? God says Kitabullah. Okay? We'll go to this verse here, and I talked about this before. I'm not going to repeat it. I'm just going to say this very quickly about 64.5. If you go to this verse 64.5, and you concentrate on that orange number 3174. 3174 is 23. Listen to it carefully. 23 times 2 times 3 times 23. The indices of these prime numbers are 9, 1, 2, 9. Okay? So that number directly comes from 9, 1, 2, 9. Which is the second of the two verses that were added. Okay? So that number, as you see, is coincident. This is in the revelation order, which means that this verse would not change regardless of 128 and 129, because chapter 9 was revealed, the 130th chapter was revealed. This one's the 108th chapter was revealed. So that would not change. It's completely independent of that. Okay? The dark green one, 1362, is the order of the prime number verses from the beginning of the Quran. Again, completely independent of 128 and 129 in chapter 9, because both 128 and 129 are composite numbers. So that number would not change either. But 1362 happens to be the position of 9127 from the beginning of the Quran sequentially. That means that if you count all the verses from the beginning of the Quran to 9127, there are exactly 1362 of them. That's exactly what these line up to. So those two false verses, they actually bear witness that 9 has 127 verses. Okay, I've talked about this before, and there are other things in there. I don't want to talk about it now. Okay, I've talked about it before. I want to go to this one, and I want to now play their games. In other words, I want to add to those verses and say, okay, let's assume that 128 and 129 are actually there. And what I'm going to get 1,364 verses. Instead of 1362, I'm going to have 1364. Again, that's a prime number verse. And that is independent of 9129 and 128. Because 128 and 129, they're both composite numbers. So that number 1364 will not change. Okay? But it includes those two verses. Let's put it that way. Okay? Now we'll go to this one here. This number in light green, 2305. Okay. Number 2305 is the revelation order of the word God in this verse. And you know which one it is? It says, and God has full knowledge of all things. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine the message that God has given us? Now, what is special about 2305? Well, if you go to our table of primes and open it up, you see that 2305 is the index of 2698. Composite 2698 has the index of 2305. But 2698 is the number of word God in the entire Quran, excluding the word God which is used in 129. Can you imagine this? Can you imagine? It says, okay, you can add your two verses. Those are your two eyewitnesses. These are the ones who's going to speak. Remember, I say the skin is going to speak. They're going to turn this into the skin and say, why did you testify against us? And he said, God made us fall. Okay? Then you want to join these guys, Barcom and Rocky? Is that what you want to do? Is that what your interpretation of that verse is? No, my friends. Barcom and Rocky means a donkey out there who's praising God constantly. The micro, the atom, the galaxy, the superclusters of galaxies. They look so beautiful at night because they constantly glorify God. Chapter 22, remember? He says, don't you see that everything prostrates to God? The sun and the moon and the stars and the trees and the mountains. Those are the ones that we want to prostrate with. Not the time. How many different ways God is supposed to tell you this? Okay. We don't care if 9 has 129 or 127 verses. It doesn't matter to us. It's okay. Okay, because we want to be mingling with those people. Because we have soft spots for them. We extend love and friendship towards them. Okay. God knows that. So here is the proof that they reject. Okay. So God says, yeah, okay, let's add these two. And I give it to you in a way that you cannot change it. Even if you add those two verses, these numbers that I just showed you on that verse are not going to change. None of these numbers are going to change. 2305 is going to stay 2305. 1364 is going to stay the same number. They're not going to change. And then, literally, God is telling us that God has full knowledge of all things. That's the assertion that God has given us, and the mathematics actually tells us that He does. Okay? So, ponder about this. You think about it. Okay. We get so much done with this. And it's amazing. Alhamdulillah. As I said, made it convenient for us. There's no time for backbiting or all kinds of stuff. It's done. Alright, so let's stop here and we'll finish on Yoma Allah al-Kabir. Subhan Rabbi al-Azim, Allah al-Kabir. Subhan Rabbi al-Azim, Allah al-Kabir. Subhan Rabbi al-Azim, Allah al-Kabir. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم سبحان ربي العظيم الله كبير الله كبير سبحان ربي الله كبير الله سبحان ربي الله كبير. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم الله كبير سبحان ربي العظيم الله كبير سبحان ربي العظيم الله كبير سبحان ربي الأعلى الحمد لله الذي يتخذ ولدا ولم يكن له شريك في الملك ولم يكن له ولي الله كبير أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله السلام عليكم السلام everyone. Inshallah, we hear from you tonight. Assalamu alaikum, everybody.
Assalamu alaikum.